Today's movie recap is the story of a rich and spoiled guy who has every privilege he can dream of. He realizes that people only appreciate him for his money and decides to lie about being poor so he can find true love. Let's see how he goes about it. Welcome to Movie Recall. In today's video, we will be going through the 2020 movie Rich in Love. It's time to recall. Let's get started. Turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The movie begins with a man named Teodoro giving some people a tour of his tomato production. Teodoro is the owner of a very successful and popular tomato ketchup company, and he is also very beloved, known also as the O Rei do Tomate, the King of Tomatoes. Teodoro talks about the high-quality production of his produce and talks about introducing a new campaign which has been started by his son. As he says this, he opens the door to reveal a fountain full of tomato sauce in which his son is getting down and dirty with a woman. We then jump back to some time earlier where Tato, Teodoro's son, wakes up in bed with a woman he doesn't remember. He gets out of bed and checks his wallet to catch her name. Then he goes downstairs to greet his father for breakfast, and we see that they get along well, and he's also loved by their housekeeper. In fact, he's so spoiled that he good-naturedly complains about the yolk in his egg having broken, and the housekeeper offers to make him a new egg. Tato then asks the housekeeper if her son Igor can do him a huge favor and deal with the girl in his room because he can't deal with it. His father sighs and asks him if it's Layla from yesterday, and Tato says no, it's Anna. We then meet Paula, who is an ambitious and hardworking medical student. She lives in Rio de Janeiro with her roommates Racia and Katia. Paula wakes everyone up to get ready for their internship as Katia complains about having to go because she wants to get ready for her bachelorette party that evening. Racia agrees to attend the internship because she can't have any more absences, and Paula wants her residency. Her friends also tease her about Dr. Victor, who apparently favors Paula a lot. Meanwhile, Igor has gone to wake up Anna and offer her a ride. Downstairs, Tato's father tells him to grow up and asks him to meet later at his office, as he wants to discuss his birthday. At the hospital, Dr. Victor appreciates Paula's case history and offers that she scrub during his surgery. Paula agrees because she wants the residency, but later, the doctor makes it clear that he is favoring her because he likes her. Paula gets humiliated and leaves, joining her friends at the bus terminal and telling them how she wants to get ahead based on her skills and not favoritism. We then shift to Tato, who is lounging in the pool when Igor walks past. He asks Igor to hang out with him, but Igor says he has to study. Tato then proposes a bet. If he wins the wrestle, Igor will have to do anything he says and vice versa. Unsurprisingly, Tato wins and takes Igor riding with him. Later, Igor wants to go home to study, but Tato says that since he lost the bet, he can't go and has to choose his birthday present with him. They test drive an amazing car, and Tato speeds past the bus in which Paula and her friends are traveling to attend the Tomato Festival. They make fun of the rich kids in their expensive cars as Tato is stopped by a police car for overspeeding. The policewoman feels him up and lets him go on the condition that he gets her name onto the list for his birthday party. Igor later comments on how Tato has slept with every woman in town. Tato and Igor then go see Teodoro, and Tato tries to convince his father to get him the car. But Teodoro says he wants to give Tato something that will get him somewhere, and so he wants to give his son a job at his company. Tato is disappointed, but he doesn't say anything. Teodoro calls in Monique, a junior executive, and Tato mistakenly takes her for an assistant and asks for a glass of water. As she tells him where the kitchen is, Teodoro tells Tato to listen to everything Monique tells him and learn from her. As Monique gives Tato a rundown of how she got there and what he has to do, he and Igor walk behind her and fool around. When Monique gets tired of this nonchalant behavior, Tato asks her if she's being rude to him because they slept together, and then says he's very busy with his birthday celebrations and asks her to drop by later in his suite to celebrate. Monique rolls her eyes at his behavior and goes back to her work. That night, there is an electronic and country music festival called Festa do Tomate, at which Tato is celebrating his birthday, and Paula and her friends are celebrating Tatia's bachelorette party. Igor arrives at Tato's party, but is stopped by security. He gives his name, but his name is not on the list. He calls Tato, who is nearby, and is only then let in. Igor is upset that his name wasn't on the list, but Tato dismisses him, saying that he has a surprise for him. He's invited Selma, Igor's crush, and proceeds to introduce them. But Selma is only interested in Tato and kisses him in front of Igor. Igor walks away and Tato rushes after him. Tato defends himself by saying he can't help it if Selma likes him, but Igor tells him that he is Tato's only true friend and others are only kissing up to him because of his name, status, and money. Tato takes off his name tag and expensive jacket to prove to Igor that he doesn't need all this. He proceeds to go on to enjoy the festival as a truckload of tomatoes is given to the crowd for a tomato fight. During that, he accidentally throws a tomato at Paula, who confronts him for it. But when she turns back, her friends are being harassed by some men. Paula tries to stop them, but a guy grabs her as well. Tato intervenes, but is punched by the man holding Paula. As he falls back, the three men recognize him and leave, not wanting to get into trouble. Paula and her friends help Tato up and tend to his bleeding nose. They head towards a quiet place as Tato is whining about how much his nose hurts. Paula tells him to calm down and sets his nose. He asks if it's revenge for having thrown a tomato at her, and she says no. She's angrier at the person whose idea it was to use tomatoes for a fight rather than help starving people. Paula's friends leave to meet Katya's cousin, and Paula stays behind to tend after Tato. Tato takes her to the greenhouse so she can wash the blood away, and there, Tato lies to her about being the farm owner's caretaker's son because he notices how unimpressed she is by the rich and privileged misusing their wealth. He tries to kiss her and set up a date, but she politely turns him down to go meet with her friends. The next morning, Tato's father gifts him the car he wanted, and he's happy that Tato is going to be earning his own money now, and Tato agrees, saying that he wants to prove himself. He then chases down Igor to apologize to him and tell him that he's going to Rio. He proposes a plan where they take each other's identity while applying for the trainee program for his father's company because Tato wants to be chosen for his work, not his name. Igor asks him what's the bet this time, and Tato says if Igor wins, he can have Tato's car. He also tells Igor about Paula. They go to Rio, and Tato tries to attend the wedding of Paula's friend. At the last minute, he decides to exchange his $2,500 suit with a janitor. Inside, he poses as a janitor, and Paula is surprised to see him there. As they talk about Tato coming to Rio chasing after his dream, Dr. Victor arrives and tries to drag Paula away, not taking Tato seriously. But Paula gets fed up with his behavior and goes back to Tato. She kisses him passionately, making Dr. Victor walk away. Paula then tells Tato that they should get out of there. They go to the beach, and Tato continues his lies by telling stories of hardships to Paula. Paula is very proud of him for working hard to achieve his dreams. The next day, Igor and Tato arrive at the Transcoso office in the city and run into Monique, who informs them that she has been fired. As the trainee program begins, Tato and Igor introduce themselves as each other. The managing director asks Alana, the talent consultant, to keep an eye on the president's son because he's known for his careless attitude. As Igor works hard, Tato struggles with the menial tasks he's given by Alana, such as making coffee and printing some papers. Helpless on how to cope, Tato goes to visit Monique to ask her for help. She agrees to meet him and he drives over to her house, which is in a poor neighborhood. Tato stands out like a sore thumb due to his attitude and expensive car. At her house, Tato asks Monique to help him get the position the way she did, by effort, not privilege. Monique says she has a high fee, but Tato doesn't want to ask his father for money. Monique says she has important things like feeding a baby, getting a job, and finding a doctor for a sister to worry about, so Tato asks Paula to come see Monique's sister. Paula agrees and visits. She says she has a hunch, but they should get some tests done. Monique asks for some medicine when Paula reveals that she isn't a doctor yet. Monique takes Tato outside to berate him. Tato defends Paula's skill and says that if she agrees to help him get the position at Transcoso, he will give her his car. Otherwise, he has promised it to his friend. Paula arrives and tells Monique that she's got appointments for her sister at the hospital. On their way back, Tato thanks Paula and asks her out, to which she agrees. Early the next morning, Monique comes to wake Tato up and tells him he needs to get to the office early and get ahead on things to stand out. Tato gets to the office early and tries to fix the printer by reading the manual. He tries to be efficient and print some stuff, but Alana later berates him for it and tells him to shred it all. Monique advises him to stand out by coming up with an impressive campaign. He also asks Monique's advice on how to impress Paula and tells her about the lies he has to keep up. Monique helps him by telling him about a club to take Paula to and even teaches him some funky dance moves. Tato does just that and his date with Paula goes very successful. He brings her to a small, cramped room he claims as his own, and they spend the night together. The next morning, Tato feels very happy and content with Paula. At the meeting, he proposes his ad campaign as a tomato sauce fountain, which Alana scoffs at. She says she likes Igor's idea better, which is a tomato mascot. The managing director, however, also likes Tato's fountain idea, and they decide to go ahead with them both. That night, Alana invites Igor to her place, and there, the two of them get involved romantically. Meanwhile, Tato and Paula also spend some time together. The next day, Tato gets an earful from Alana for being late. Meanwhile, Igor has made a prototype for Tato's fountain idea. Later, Tato and Igor work out how Tato can attend Paula's graduation party and a business meeting with his father, which will be at the same time. He is able to pull it off by swapping his clothes and running in between the party and the business meeting, which happen to be close by. He keeps this up until he falls in his haste and is given a drink which has some drugs mixed in it by Paula's friend that they had intended for Dr. Victor. This makes him act erratically and irrationally. As he goes to swap his clothes with Igor, his father walks in to discover him and Igor in their underwear and storms off, assuming the wrong thing. When Tato tries to get back to Paula, she has found everything out through Anna and does not want to see him anymore. The next day, Tato and his father have a falling out, and Tato goes to stay with Monique. He also tries to apologize to Paula, but he is too late as she is leaving for a volunteering program in Amazon. The day of the announcement for the junior executive position arrives, and it turns out that both Tato and Igor have won. While giving a speech at the podium, Igor reveals the entire plan to the whole audience. Tato also gets on the podium and apologizes to Monique for being the reason she lost her job. Alana chases after him, Tato and Monique, and Igor gives her an explanation. She admits that she has truly fallen for him and not his money. Meanwhile, Tato is in a pickle as he had promised his car to Monique if he won, but also promised it to Igor for getting the position. He decides to sell the car and use that money to start a project with Igor and Monique. A year later, Tato comes to Monique's house and gets a surprise birthday party. He has made friends in the community and reconciled with his father. Paula also arrives because she heard about the project that Tato shows her. His project gives a chance to the residents of the community to grow premium organic tomatoes on their rooftops to earn extra income. Paula is really happy, and Tato thanks her because she's the reason he learned to live life differently. They kiss as the camera zooms out to show the other rooftops, and this is where the movie ends.